Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. In this video, we're going to take a look at the farming upgrades and how exactly they help your economy. If you only ever play Franks, then feel free to skip this video since you get them automatically, or you can stick around and see how good that bonus really is. Part of what makes the farming techs unusual is they don't work like other drop-off site upgrades. Wood, gold, and stone are all acquired straight off the map and have corresponding techs to increase that collection rate directly. Now, food does start off a bit like that, but once you use up the natural sources on the map, it has a radically different design. Farms don't so much generate food, but just let you convert your wood into food. Following from that, the farm upgrades don't target your food collection, but instead just make that conversion more efficient, and quite a bit more efficient at that, with all of the techs giving you a slightly better than 9-to-1 return. Of course, the downside is those wood to food conversion factories need villager time to operate. Now, I've seen the idea out there that farming upgrades somehow do improve your farming rate though. I've been under the impression they don't, and you can see in the advanced Genie editor that Horsecollar isn't programmed to do anything besides just increase food per farm and multiply the farmer gather rates by 1 for some odd reason. So theoretically, it shouldn't impact collection rate. Then again, if there's one lesson I've learned, it's that you never assume in Age of Empires things will do exactly what they say they do. So let's see. I tested farms with the different upgrades, measuring from the start of placing the farm until the sound of the maracas, which gives us the full farming cycle. There's always a bit of randomness when it comes to farming, but averaging across 20, I found that Horsecollar, as expected, doesn't change the collection rate. Even getting Horsecollar 20 times through cheat codes doesn't have an effect, so that's that. But what's interesting is that Heavy Plow does help your farming, and by quite a bit. Crop rotation, on the other hand, just like Horsecollar, again adds nothing though. So why is Heavy Plow so special? Well, that one's unique because it has a secondary effect of adding 1 carry capacity for your farmers. Carry capacity is massive in farming. Just that 1 more food per trip bumps the collection rate in my test by almost 5%. But that brings me to the real farming upgrade, which isn't found at the mill at all, and that's wheelbarrow. That's because wheelbarrow lets your villagers carry 3 more food before dropping off, translating to a double-digit jump in collection rate. Again, that's not because wheelbarrow is directly affecting a collection rate like gold mining or double bit axe, but instead some combination of walking 10% faster and carrying 3 more food is giving farmers a huge bump. Which of course leads me to naturally wonder which of those 2 effects is doing more. Luckily, 10% faster movement rate happens to be a bonus for the Berbers. A quick test shows that change alone boosts their collection by just over 4%. Unfortunately, plus 3 carry capacity is not a Civ bonus, but the definitive addition scenario editor makes that possible to replicate. As you'd expect, giving villagers plus 3 carry capacity ends up adding right around an 8% boost. So as far as I can tell, carry capacity is responsible for about 2/3 of the farming boost from wheelbarrow. So if 1 wheelbarrow tech is awesome, then more wheelbarrows should be awesomer, right? Well, let's research it 19 more times. Unfortunately, when trying that out, I found it gives less than a 1% boost. I'm sorry to disappoint, but at the end of the day, you're still bottlenecked by the farmer's gather rate, and there really is no way to directly increase that besides picking a civilization with a farming bonus. Even worse, with 20 wheelbarrows, the villagers carry the entire farm's worth of food, so I have to wait about 8.5 minutes before I get any of it. That's why food is always the hardest resource to get in 256 times mod, and the more techs you get for it, the worse it is. But this is all getting a bit off topic. Going back to the farming upgrades, besides a reasonable boost to your farming rate from Heavy Plow, you could also argue they're useful for their wood savings. Reseeding farms less often means saving wood in the long term, right? Well, that is true, but the payback is not as fast as you might think, and crop rotation probably doesn't pay off for the majority of people who get it. To give an example of what I mean, let's say 2 players each reach feudal age and put down a farm at 12 minutes. One person gets Horsecollar just before that, and the other person doesn't. Let's watch how things play out. At 20 to 21 minutes, the non-Horsecollar farm is being used up. Great, Horsecollar paid off already, right? Well, about that. The thing is, the Horsecollar farm is also going to run out in a little under 4 minutes, at which point both players have spent the same on their farms. Fast forward to 29 minutes and you get the second farm reseed for the non-Horsecollar player, followed again at 36.5 minutes by the Horsecollar farm reseeding. I'm ignoring some factors here like getting wheelbarrow and additional farming upgrades, but just hear me out. The point is, it's now 36.5 minutes into the game and both players have paid for exactly 3 farms. It turns out you need to go all the way to 1 minute later, where the non-horse color player will permanently be at least 60 wood behind and falling another 60 wood after roughly every third farm. Now consider the average 1 vs 1 Arabia game online is about 40 minutes. In contrast, double bit axe pays off in about 3 minutes. Now obviously there's a bit more going on here, and it's not to say that farming upgrades should always be avoided, but arguing farm upgrades are good for saving wood is technically correct, but a very long-term perspective. For each of the farming upgrades, you can make a similar argument, and that they all take around 3 complete farming cycles to permanently bank you any resources. And for crop rotation, that payoff time is somewhere around an hour after getting it. Instead, I think a more compelling defense to get horse color before a lot of your farms is the timing of when the reseeds happen. Let's go back to our 2 players putting farms down at 12 minutes. The player without horse color has their farms running out about 4 minutes earlier. That gives the horse color player more time to come up with those resources. It works out to be about the time to create 9 more villagers, and an economy with 9 more villagers is naturally going to be able to absorb that cost more easily. Now that said, if picking up horse color was at the expense of creating military and these 2 players are against each other, the person skipping horse color might have more units, win an important fight, and gain a permanent advantage, and that's where some judgment has to come in. Every game of Age of Empires has lots of these trade-offs, and deciding when you can build extra town centers or advance to the next age needs to be weighed against the short-term impact of losing those resources. So to put it all together, no, farming techs don't increase farming rate except for heavy plow, but even then it's not as great as wheelbarrow and handcart. On the other hand, farming techs do improve your long-term wood to food conversion in those really long drawn-out games, and horse color in particular can be helpful in the mid-game to delay reseeding farms and lowering their cost relative to your income. It's a lot to manage, but hopefully this put a few things into perspective and can help you make more informed decisions in your next game. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.